Hello, romance readers. If you're looking for your next read and feel inspired by some of the books we've covered on Too Stupid to Live, be sure to check out TSTL's very own storefront on bookshop.org. Here, you will find a collection of books that the show has covered, as well as personal recommendations from me, Becky Feldman, the host of TSTL, who is talking to you right now. So rest assured, you don't need to worry about remembering titles or author names or having to go back into the episode catalog. Just head to bookshop.org/shop/TSTL podcast to view a collection of the books that the show has covered. That's bookshop.org/shop/TSTL podcast. Happy reading.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Too Stupid to Live, a podcast that reviews romance novels $5 and under. I'm your host, Becky Feldman, and I am so excited for today's episode. Not only do I chat with an amazing writer who has a great graphic novel out, we are reviewing a book with a premise that I have been dying to read for about a year now. And that is a book that takes place at a resort for monsters and paranormal creatures. I was so excited when I discovered that this book exists. So what I'm trying to say is dreams come true. Today, we are reviewing No, Not About It by Elliot Assen, which is currently $1.49. So if you're not familiar with the Omegaverse or nodding, you're going to get a crash course, so don't worry. And if you follow me on Goodreads and pay attention to my Goodreads, which why would you, you'll finally understand why every book I've read for the past few months has had some form of the word not in its title. You're in for a fun time. Or you'll be really disturbed. You know what? Or both. Who knows? But in addition to discussing this book, I also really enjoyed interviewing today's guest, Sara Miller. Sara is a writer and editor who just released her first YA graphic novel, You Belong Here, which I absolutely loved and highly recommend to all readers, not just YA or graphic novel readers, but to anyone who is a human and who has or will come of age. You know who you are. You can find You Belong Here wherever books are sold. So I hope your bags are packed, folks, because today's episode is truly a journey. Please enjoy this discussion with Sara Miller and our review of No, Not About It. Oh my goodness, Sara Miller, welcome to Too Stupid to Live.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited you are here. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's been a long month. It's April 1st, but it's been a long month.
Sure, I hear you. Mm-hmm.
March was a long, exciting month of promoting my book, seeing it out in the world for the first time. It's been fun and exhausting, but really, really rewarding and fulfilling in all the good ways. So it's fun to be continuing that with you right now.
Well, I absolutely loved You Belong Here. But I want to talk about you first and how you got to You Belong Here. Tell me about your writing background. Basically, you were born and then what happened? How did you get to writing this book? Just if you could do the whole long story short or go long. Doesn't matter.
So I was born on February 23rd, 1991 in a small town on Long Island. So I told this story actually, or a version of this, at WonderCon over the weekend, which is, I think my writing journey started when I wrote an adaptation of The Three Little Pigs with penguins in elementary school and created the pseudonym Olivia Relum, which is Relum is Miller backwards, which is my last name. And I don't know what my obsession with the name Olivia was, but I just thought it was way cooler than Sara, I guess. So, I started at a really young age. Unfortunately, I no longer use that pseudonym, but I'm still writing and actually publishing books now. But yeah, so I like the real version of that is but it's fun to
Yeah, but
bring
about
up
these
Olivia
penguins. No, I'm just
Rowland.
kidding. Yeah. And Olivia.
I might reuse that one day. If you see it, you'll know why. But anyway,
Nice.
yeah, I loved, I wrote throughout high school, and I was a creative writing major in college. And then I got into editing comics, so I sort of moved into from like writing creatively to working on the editorial side and working with artists and writers, which has been so amazing. And then I got my MFA from Antioch University, LA, in 2019. I got it in writing for young people and screenwriting specifically. So that was my like it was really interesting because, when you're in college, obviously, I feel really lucky that I got a chance to pursue what I really loved. But I felt like when I went back to grad school, that was me actively choosing to return to school. I didn't have to do it. My parents weren't forcing me to do it. Society, like it was a moment where I was really choosing this and paying my way through it and so like investing in myself, I guess, in that way. So yeah, I got really dedicated to it, to writing around that time, and that's actually where early versions of You Belong Here were born.
Ooh. So did you always picture You Belong Here as a graphic novel?
No, I actually wrote it as a prose novel first, and I applied to grad school using samples from the prose novel. For a long time, because I was an editor at DC Comics, I felt like I had to keep church and state separate, and so I would write prose and I would edit comics. But it was actually in grad school during a workshop, one of my peers was like, hey, your writing is really visual. Have you ever thought of writing this as a graphic novel? And I just wanted to flip the table and storm out and be like, how dare you suggest that to me? But he was so right. And it really gave me permission to let go of that self-imposed boundary I had put on myself. I went home and I tackled a scene that wasn't working as a graphic novel script, and it just clicked into place and took off from there.
Can you tell me how a graphic novel script works, like your process?
Yeah. So for me, the best way to explain it is a close cousin to a screenplay. So if you're familiar with what a screenplay format looks like, unlike screenwriting, there's actually no set format for a comic book script or graphic novel script. It's sort of choose your own adventure for the writer, which I think has a lot of pros and cons. The pros, of course, is that you can cater it to your own, what works and feels best for you. So I actually work on a Word document. Writing programs like Final Draft and Scrivener have comic script formats you can use, but I don't like them. They're perfectly fine, but I prefer to just start with a Word doc. I put page 1 at the top, followed by panel 1, panel description, dialogue, and so on and so forth from there. And so I feel like because of that, I never have to start with a blank page. I always have a little bit of writing on there.
Right. Like you have that out, not an out. It's like a worksheet you're filling in or something.
Kind of. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I really I visualize what I think. I'm not an artist, but I'm thinking visually. I'm imagining what the art could look like, and I'm giving that guide to the artist. So I'm also writing to the artist if I know who the artist is. In the case of You Belong Here, I brought Morgan Beam on to the project pretty early on, so I was very much writing for her art, which was really special. And I kind of just
have you worked with Morgan before? Like what drew you to her work in particular?
No, I met her at a comic convention back in like maybe 2016. We met at Heroes Con, which is a convention in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we just were peers and kind of hit it off. And I always loved her art, but I never got a chance to work with her myself. So when I started this project as a graphic novel, I pretty much immediately had her art in mind. There's actually one illustration she did in particular, which is in a like blue watercolor palette. And it's just a simple illustration of just like a girl sitting on a step, and you see like legs of presumably her boyfriend or partner behind her, and the balloon says the legs balloon say, "Are you still mad at me?" And her balloon says, "Yes, but I still love you." And something about that illustration, I was just like, that is what I want this book to look like. Just that like moody, emotional, expressive, romantic, very real and relatable sort of style. And I feel like she really brought that to the book.
100%. Because I feel like some of the most powerful moments in the book, like the ones that made me cry, that like kind of spoke to my inner, you know, high schooler, I guess, were the moments where she's alone either and with her, you know, boyfriend next door with the gate, or when she's with her new love interest. Just this, you can like see the silence, if that makes any sense at all.
it makes perfect sense, and that's exactly as intended to. Like, Morgan did such a good job with those silent emotional beats, which was really amazing to see, especially because she's actually done a lot of more like horror genre type stuff. So it's really cool to see her do something super contemporary, super real, super emotional, and she just nailed it.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm glad to hear you cried as well.
Oh, I'm a crier. I am like, well, I mean, it's so interesting because like maybe also because I'm a theater kid and I related to her. I related to just the idea of like getting your heart broken, getting rejected, having a plan, and just having it go. Of course, I mean, I'm like that every day, but you know, just in high school, those kinds of wounds hurt so much more. And thinking back to them, there's still like a tenderness of the hurt you felt, even though like worse things could happen when you're like 39 and like you know, you're like whatever, you know.
No, I wrote a whole book about it for a reason, and that's kind of the reason. Like, still feeling kind of wounded and trying to work through that stuff down on Long Island, but it is based on the town I grew up in, so I really do think of it like I sort of hesitate answering this question only because I want to be like, I don't know why I feel like I need to be like, I made it all up, but so many writers don't. You know, like everything comes from something personal in some way, I think. And obviously there's the whole like write what you know motto. But yeah, so I think of it as a love letter to my hometown for sure. And I really did want to express what feels in some ways like a unique experience growing up on Long Island, just wanting to capture that specific place and what maybe people don't expect from a story based there. But also I think it's obviously super relatable to like anyone who grew up in that small suburban environment. So yeah, and I mean, like, did I get my heart broken my senior year of high school by the boy next door? Of course I did.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. I'm okay, but I appreciate that. So yeah, there are like bits and pieces I took, and of my best, the foundations of it, I'd say, are based on my personal experience. I dated the boy next door and he broke my heart my senior year of high school, and my best friend in high school was a year older than me, so she was in college the year that I was a senior in high school. But then like from there it's definitely dramatized and the characters do kind of take on a life of their own. I reached out to those two people to share the book with them before it came out, and to also say like, you may see some things that you might recognize here, but it is fiction, and like I don't want you to feel like it's all was my experience, because it's not. Right. But yeah, in a lot of ways I did I wrote what I wish I had done, or maybe even like what I had thought about doing but would never do, and kind of like let the characters go from there.
Sure. What is so compelling about, I think, your book, and then also when I read YA novels, like the one If You Had Been With Me, like just the level of like stakes, emotional stakes. And like I'm kind of like, what's the key to that, do you think, when like you are kind of creating that world that not only can like YA readers can relate to, but like also adults, you know?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think it can be so difficult for contemporary fiction and contemporary YA, because it does sometimes feel like it's a book about nothing, even though that's not true. But I think what I do, at least, is I take those things that could happen to someone as a high school student, as a teenager, and I take them very seriously, because I think as teenagers, all of that stuff, like, even if in the grand scheme of things, it's something that doesn't matter that much, at that point in time, it matters tremendously. And it's like this interesting thing where, you know, you've lived a certain amount of life, but everything that's happened to you is all that's happened to you. So you don't have that perspective for like a larger world outside of if it's like your hometown or your family dynamics or your friendship dynamics. So I just take it all extremely seriously, because I think that's how it feels to a teenager, and try to write to that, and try to build the like conflict and tension around that, so that even though the stakes are based in more slice of life type scenarios, they do feel really serious.
Yeah. I mean, because it's like I loved it, you know, because like we think like those things back then are important to us, but you also like include other things that I feel like I haven't seen maybe in my YA experience, which was flawed adults, especially like maybe you're gonna be my therapist now. Her relationship with her mother, I really related to. Her relationship with her Jewish mother, I very much related to. But just like seeing, you know, like I think for some reason I always thought up until maybe 2 years ago that like adults never make mistakes. You know what I mean? And just like seeing like, oh, she does go through some serious shit, you know, with her brother and her mom.
Yeah. I actually think everyone is super flawed in this story, and that is intentional. I feel like everyone's sort of really trying to do the right thing and think they're doing the right thing, but by doing that, they're hurting someone else, often unintentionally. And so just like those, like playing within those dynamics. I think like when I was a senior in high school, my Jewish mother and I fought like hell. And there was this real like battle for independence happening, where like I was fighting so hard for my independence because I wanted it so badly, and my mom was fighting so hard for me to like stay, like, to not in a bad way, but to like maintain some control over me and my life, just so I could stay safe, just so,
of course,
just like to like help with her own anxiety about her daughter going out into the world and not having control over what happens to her from there, and how like the world can hurt you in that way. So yeah, I was definitely playing with that experience as well from my personal life. And now my mom and I are very close, and pretty soon after my senior year of high school, our relationship was like totally fine.
Oh yeah. I feel like you get to a point like after you go to college and you like come home for the first time and you see a really nice meal, you're like, oh wow.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like I'm so sorry. I was a bitch.
I was terrible. I think that all the time. No, but also I want to ask you about her. She develops a new love interest in Christopher. And so I guess he is so unique. He was like weird and like hot at the same time with this weird, like he was like the weird kid, but also like the hottest kid in school. And I'm like, how did you develop his character? Not was he based on anyone, but like what did you base, like how did you develop his character?
Yeah, I just have always loved the dark, brooding, bad boy type in fiction and in real life, I guess you could say. And so I wanted to create that like contrast between her ex, like the boy who breaks her heart, being the boy next door, the jock, sort of like the golden good boy that her mother is like, has no concerns with her, although she expresses some like sort of judgment just over like
the gas money. Like
yeah
yeah.
yeah, like she's still, I think the mother is kind of judgmental of everyone, honestly. But like compared to Christopher, Bruno, the boy next door, is like the golden child, and Christopher is, yeah, just like there's a juxtaposition between them, the two love interests in that way. So yeah, I think I just, so I wanted that like bad boy, brooding, romantic love interest because I just think that's a sexy character. And then I wanted to I was playing with the idea of like, oh my gosh, what's the word for it? Brain fart. Like stereotypes, like Christopher has a reputation. Sorry.
There's the word. Because like his older brother, yeah,
like everyone in a small town has a reputation for some reason that they may not be in control of themselves. So Christopher is very much dealing with that because his brother was the drug dealer in school, which is what got Essie's brother hooked on drugs, and he's in rehab at the start of the story. So there's also like, there's just a lot going on there. There's like star-crossed romance, enemies to lovers, a little, and so how did I make him weird and hot? I think he's like hot because again, he is that like, just like brooding, mysterious, like kind of like keeps to himself, doesn't really care what anyone else thinks about him. In a lot of ways also is like everything Essie is not, because she is more type A, kind of like has a plan for everything. She wants to be a good girl and follow the rules, but at this time is like really just struggling with where she belongs in her final year of high school and what she's going to do after. And she has a plan for everything to start, but that plan starts to fall apart, and that really sends her scrambling to figure out to like get her life back on track, even though it's that plan falling apart that helps her really discover what it is she needs and wants next in life. And so, yeah, Christopher is the opposite, but I think he's weird because it's all like just his reputation, and he's not quite that. And the other thing I love about YA or like teenagers is that sort of moment where it's like you don't actually know him like I know him, mom, you know. And like that's what I wanted to like mine that moment and show that like Christopher really isn't what anyone actually thinks of him, and so Essie gets to know that person, and that's what's like makes their relationship, I think, really like it deepens their bond. But yeah, it also explores that that experience and like highlighting that the reputations like run deep, but they don't always have a basis in reality.
Right. Yeah. Well, what I love about it coming from the romance reader in me is the enemies to lovers trope of like, what I love about enemies to lovers is, or just even like rivals, or just like these two people should not get together. Their moms would be so mad. You know what I mean? But, but they have to,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like curious about like how romance tropes kind of influence not just this book, but like other editing projects or future writing ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I just enjoy romance, always have. And so I actually surprised myself by having an enemies to lovers. It's actually not always my favorite trope to read, but kind of going back to your question about like how do I create conflict and tension in a contemporary teen story? I think like figuring out those specific pieces of, okay, Essie's brother is struggling with a drug addiction. That was something early on I knew I wanted to have in the story, because it was something I just wanted to explore from a personal place, but also I thought it would it would be really challenging for Essie, specifically for her character specifically. And then it was like, okay, so like who's the romantic interest that sort of like messes that up, even like messes that dynamic up even more. And okay, if it's kind of like a bad boy that has a bad reputation, cool, but like what if his brother sold drugs to Essie's brother? Then there's this real like your family can't mess with my family, or like can't associate with my family. And then like how do we bring them together so that they are forced to interact? Let's like throw them into this school play where they play opposite each other kind
and
of.
And they play siblings, which is, again, fabulous.
So like fitting all those pieces into place. I know, but going back to your question about like how romance influences all of that, I just have always also loved like YA romance specifically. And when I was a teenager, I devoured any contemporary YA romance I could get my hands on, because I felt like it helped me figure out what was going on in my life.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take that feeling I had, put it into a graphic novel, which was really cool, but then also play with things maybe that I didn't see in those YA novels that like I could contribute to the teen looking for that specific thing.
Oh my God, of course. Yeah. Because there was just a lot of like, I don't know, I felt seen in a way of like, I don't know. I mean, again, I was like a theater kid, and like I feel like kind of taking a bird's eye view of that time, like you see the clicks and you think this and you think that, but like this book really understands like the nuances of a specific click, and like the nuances of like, oh, this is like life and death, and like this is like Romeo and Juliet, and this is like my life is over, and just like understanding like kind of it's not surfacey.
Yeah, totally. No, that's amazing to hear. That I love to hear that the theater kids are relating to this, because I was a theater kid adjacent, because I was actually a dancer, but I would do all the school plays, especially the school musicals, as like the dancer. And I did a couple plays too, notably in my senior year of high school. But so I loved those like drama club dynamics, the backstage romance, all of that I wanted to put in this too.
Absolutely. It was just like, it hit the nail on the head, just knowing, because I feel like I went to a pretty big high school, and so there's cliques within the cliques, and it was just like, yeah, that really like nails it. And so yeah, I felt seen again, as I said.
That's amazing. I'm so glad.
It was so good.
That's awesome.
I want to talk about like kind of bridging YA romance, bridging your book. Even, we were going to like discuss You Belong Here, that's your book. We were going to discuss
If He Had Been With Me.
If He Had Been With Me, which is kind of being I guess, do you consider that a YA romance, I guess, is my question.
I do. Yeah, I do. And I like, one of the reasons I just happened to be reading it this past month, but I feel like it's like related to You Belong Here.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. So I had a lot of fun reading it after, like with, or at the same time that You Belong Here was coming out, and seeing a lot of like exciting similarities in just the like, yeah, that teen romance like type stuff. But yeah, I was thinking about, because you had emailed me and said like, hey, if you want to talk about something with a happy ending, because the ending is devastating. And
yeah,
it's that question I think a lot about, is like romance being defined by a happily ever after. And
exactly.
so does the ending mean that it can't be romance, or can it still be romance? And it is like, I guess spoiler alert incoming, but it is like Romeo and Juliet too.
Sure.
And like, do we consider that a romance? I feel like that's in a lot of ways, like, I know it's a drama, but it feels also like the original romance in some ways that people think about.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, you know, there's always going to be, I feel like, being online in the romance world, there's always going to be the endless debate of like, does it have to have a happy ending, blah blah blah, does, you know, in order to make it a romance. And like, my opinion is like, let's just take a step back and look at the story itself, you know what I mean? Is it a compelling story? Like, you know, we don't need to like, I mean, I guess maybe with like book talk and things like that, and trying to market and just like, you know, kind of being as like concise as possible with like our reviews and stuff, and like doing whatever, you know, we're supposed to do. But like the story itself, like I had to read it in one night, because I was like, because I read yours, and then I went to that one, and I was like, I have to read this in one night, because if this is like an ongoing thing, I'm going to be depressed for days.
Oh.
So I read it in one night and just like crying.
Yeah.
It was so, well, I mean, like, speaking of high stakes and just like the level of, you know, compared to You Belong Here, you know, where it's like, you know, she's very much focused on her career. In this book, you have like I'm calling them kids, teenagers acting like full on adults, you know, like having a very mature, like adult kind of viewpoint on like, she had the same boyfriend for 4 years, and then like she's talking about my romantic past in 8th grade. I was an idiot in 8th. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. But when I was a teenager, I wouldn't have thought that way. Oh my God,
of course. Yeah.
I knew everything when I was in 8th grade. Are you kidding?
Oh, sure. Me too. Yeah.
No one could have told me otherwise.
But what did you, before we talk about like the ridiculous romance that I had to read after, because I was like in tears, which was hilarious. Because I like, for me, when I read something really sad like that, because it ends so tragically, I just like need like a bit of a palate cleanser, because like I think that, I'm not saying I'm just like such an empathetic person and I feel what other people feel, but it does take you there. And I'm like curious about what you think about like with kind of YA books that are out there that do that. You know, it's not unlike 13 Reasons Why in a way, you know. What kind of responsibility do you think like YA has about like telling those stories and like kind of embracing, you know, things that might be triggering, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, from the adult perspective, it is a very heavy responsibility, because if we're bringing 13 Reasons Why into it, like that actually triggered a lot of teens to commit or attempt suicide, which is really troubling. And I think that it was that property that sent a lot of like people on the publishing side, or gave them this realization that like, oh my gosh, this, like, there is a very serious responsibility to these kinds of stories. And so there's still a place for them, because it still sadly reflects the teen experience, and so shouldn't be something to necessarily shy away from. Because you, like, what I think the most important thing to writing YA is to being relatable and being very like honest and raw about those things. But yeah, there's, I think the industry has kind of figured out a way to do it where it's not being gratuitous about it. It's being, also like including resources if needed, content warnings, things like that. Some ways, and like a lot of TV shows do that now too. So like there's a way to reach someone if they do need help. So I think all of that has been really amazing. But yeah, like I think I couldn't stop thinking about the Romeo and Juliet comparison to If He Had Been With Me, because in that way it's just like also kind of classic literature to tell a story like that. And I think in a lot of ways too, it can often serve as a metaphor to what teens are feeling about like their relationships and their heartbreak. And it, like you said, it feels like life and death. So it's very powerful and effective in that way.
Yeah. And then, okay, the final question around that and just YA in general is the book was very popular on Book Talk. And like, as from like a publishing, editing, and writing kind of viewpoint, what do you think makes a book popular on Book Talk? Like, is it just random, or is there a method?
That is such a good question, and if I actually knew, I would be a millionaire.
Right? Yeah. Of course. And
wouldn't be telling my secrets. But no, I think If He Had Been With Me is such a perfect Book Talk book because it is so raw and relatable and relevant and heartbreaking. And I think those extreme emotions are what lead to kind of these breakout successes on Book Talk or a lot of attention, because it's really easy to like, one, it's easy to, I guess, like talk about why you love it or why you respond, or just that you responded to it in some way. Like it elicits an extreme reaction out of the reader, and that translates really well to something like Book Talk.
Yeah. Are you seeing the same thing like with graphic novels as well? Like it just, kind of embracing Book Talk as well? Like, because I'm not like a young kid who's on it. So.
Sadly, same. I mean, I try to be on it, but I'm not a young kid.
Sure. Totally
so it doesn't come super naturally to me the way it does to some of the youths. But I actually haven't seen graphic novels embraced that much on like traditional Book Talk. I've seen like there are other sort of comics and graphic novels communities, but as far as like hashtag Book Talk, so far I could be wrong. I could definitely have missed something, but I haven't really seen, I don't have any examples or like obvious examples that come to mind. And I don't know why that is. I think maybe because graphic novels are still sort of a small, part of the larger publishing industry. They're definitely like a small but mighty and growing part of the publishing industry. But compared to your traditional novels, it's not quite the same. And yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see them. I'd like to see something like You Belong Here on there, obviously. But I think like it translates well too, because it has, there's no death in You Belong Here. I feel like I should say, because I did compare it to If He Had Been With Me, and it's not the same in that way. But just as far as like a book reviewer, actually, I wish I could remember who, but a book reviewer called You Belong Here a coming of angst story. And I just thought that was so perfect, and have been kind of obsessed with that ever since. And so I feel like that sort of coming of angst vibe is also very popular on Book Talk, and that's also very, like, if he had been with me, I would put under the coming of angst category too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so funny. Like, I feel like I'm seeing like so many parallels here of like, well, I don't know, like we all liked like I'm just, my first thought was like, well, in Les Mis, we all loved Eponine. You know what I mean? Like we all loved the one who got her heart broken.
Yeah, it's so
we
true.
love Elsa, not Anna.
Yes, it's so true. Why is that?
I think we all relate to it. I think it's like we relate. I mean, I think that's why I like, you know, got so emotional. It was just like, oh, I relate to just being like feeling like the whole world is against you. You know, it's such a teenage feeling that like will never go away.
I think it's a more interesting character to follow and to root for, and a more interesting arc than the character who's like in a happy relationship and everything's going great. Like that's just boring.
Yeah,
nobody wants that. Sadly,
no one wants that.
Sometimes I feel like I would like that, but I don't. You know, sometimes I just want like the characters to be okay, but they never are, and that's good.
Yeah. In the end, they're just characters. Well, speaking of characters being okay, we are going to do the hardest pivot I think I've ever done on this show.
I'm ready. Let me just like stretch for a sec.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Because this is like freaking nuts. So as I said, I needed a palate cleanser after reading, the book, If He Had Been With Me. And this was like the first one that I saw. And I was like, I'm going to do this. So I got Sarah to read it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, good. Oh, thank God. Okay. So we reviewed No Not About It by Elliot Asson, which is currently $1.49. Okay. So here's a quick synopsis. Mari just needs to get away, not just from her overbearing family, but maybe from the human world altogether. Luckily, amid the magic-made tropical sandy beaches of North Dakota, there's Monster Resort, a place for all monsters and human allies to unwind, indulge, and maybe even find your fated mate if you play your cards right. And yeah, there's a casino. But one monster not betting finding his mate is Cash, thinking he's meant to be alone as one of the last remaining saber-toothed tiger shifters on the planet. Yet, when the alluring Mari is looking for some interspecies R&R, Cash is more than happy to oblige, and not just for the duration of the getaway, but for the duration of forever.
Ooh. Is that forever with an F-U-R?
It absolutely is.
Good. I'm so glad.
Okay, so my first question I want to ask you is, you're a romance reader. How familiar are you with kind of the Omegaverse of it all, of like this kind of world where there's like mating, bonds, weird dicks, weird vagina. Well, not everything's thing is perfect and beautiful, but like you know, with the slick of it all,
so
you know,
so much
slick, so much slickness. Yeah. Like, I know it kind of emerged from like a fan fiction kind of thing and kind of made its way to romance. What is your experience with it, if at all?
So I'm a contemporary romance girly through and through. That's what I gravitate towards. My only experience with this sort of romance is Ice Planet Barbarians.
Oh, you're perfect. I love that series. Oh my God, you're good.
Okay, great. Yeah. But this is the second one I've read, so it is still feels very new to me. But I do have Ice Planet Barbarians as like my frame of reference.
Oh, that's a really great frame of reference, because I think that was the first one for everyone. Like, that was the first one I read where I'm like, this isn't weird. Oh, like she can have sex with an alien, and that's not weird.
Great. And not only can she have sex with an alien and it's not weird, but he's designed for her pleasure. Like,
exactly. Cool. And like he wants to as well. Like, it's just like nuts. Just like kind of how like these worlds are kind of being like evolved to meet us. And it's, out of all things, the monster of it all. So you haven't had like, I guess that maybe over Christmas break, I was like, I really want to see what this Omegaverse thing is all about. I read so many books where there was like nodding and mates and shifters and things like that. So have you ever gotten into like at all paranormal or like kind of contemporary urban fantasy?
Yeah, not really. Yeah, I like the only thing that comes to mind, not a romance novel, but is something like True Blood.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
I was obsessed with True Blood when that was coming out. That hit when I was in college, and it was like I illegally downloaded those episodes on my laptop in my college dorm.
Mhm.
But yeah, not a lot of paranormal romance in my life currently.
It's funny because like this book does have like if True Blood, the show, like if that were our reality, let's say, and there was a resort for the monsters to go to, like this book kind of speaks true.
Yeah, you're right. It does. I love to see. Yeah, because even though it's funny that I haven't read a lot of like, especially the like vampire. I mean, you know, I read
Twilight.
Oh my God. Twilight, thank you. In high school as well. Although that it was really True Blood that got me into like the vampire thing. But I didn't necessarily seek out more of it. But I was glad to see the vampire representation in this story, even if it was short-lived. And yeah, the idea of like this resort for monsters and it truly having every monster you could think of. Even like it mentions witches, and I'm like, oh, okay, like witches are considered monsters in this world. Like that makes sense, but they're also so human, you know?
Yeah, they're kind of like where's the line? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And not that this book needed it, but you are making an exceptionally good point of like what is a monster?
I think it mentioned ghosts. Like we don't see any ghosts, but it mentioned somewhere that ghosts are around too. I really liked when we find out the bartender is a hellhound, and she has the internal thought of like, oh, I didn't realize those guys were like out and about.
Yeah, like working
just like at a bar, like not guarding the entrance to hell, I guess. Like they should be.
Maybe, I don't know, just like maybe it's like they can't, like they broke away from their family, you know, like our family's been guarding hell for years, and it's like, no, I want to be a bartender at a monster resort, Dad. And then it's like
I kind of want that. I want the story of that bartender character.
Yes, me too. Like I want the story of just like like even the people who like work there and have to do like turn down service of like I could just like watch a 9-hour documentary of two people talking, of two monsters talking who work there. Just doing turn downs.
I did start. I've just like a page of book 2, which had the bartender character in it as well. So like, even though I think the main characters are totally different, so I'm very curious to finish reading that. And I saw there was like a holiday version, like book, that I think is for these characters, Mari and Cash. So I bring that up to say I'm curious what more we learn about the bartender specifically in those other books.
He was a really great bartender. Like he like really like knew the world, you know, like I mean he does warn her like
here comes my cat.
Oh, hi.
She has things to say about all of this.
She's like, I have things to say. I'm very offended by the saber-toothed tiger of it all. He's a saber-toothed tiger shifter. What did you think about that? Like, do you find it believable?
So what I actually found really interesting about it is that he, as a shifter, the personalities are really separate. And they talk to each other. That's not something I've come across in shifters. I'm curious if you have before, because that was super new to me. Because I feel like whenever you see it, have you? Oh, okay.
Well, not to this extent. Like, there were times where I was like writing down, Cash has so much going on in his head. He's having like 12 different conversations at once, and he's just sitting there because he's like texting his brother, talking to his inner tiger, talking to her, doing this. And I'm like, he's not moving a muscle, you know? And like,
right.
I feel like I've read stuff where it was like, yes, they talk about like their kind of like inner monster, but it was more like they're like kind of equating it with their inner horniness. Like, it wasn't like a separate, like, this made it feel like there is a separate like consciousness inside his brain, like Black Mirror style, and he's just having like a really rational discourse.
Yeah. Which was interesting because it almost felt like there were 3 people in the relationship.
Yes.
And I was wondering if, I mean, I imagine that's intentional. Like, that's the intentional effect.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was interesting, kind of like giving, like, it, like, because it's like, okay, you want to, like, he's an animal, he's feral, like, he has these, like, desires for her, and it is, like, I guess there is a level of sexiness that, like, there's a part of him that's like, okay, this is my woman, we got to do whatever it takes to, like, protect her and make her ours, and then you have, like, his other rational side of like, well, you know, let's slow it down a little bit, buddy, you know. And it's just like this weird like I don't know, like the Odd Couple you know, in his head.
It was very like human and animal, and those thoughts were very separate and like fought each other often.
Yes. And there was a moment where like they like have sex and she sleeps over in his apartment, his hotel room, and like they wake up next morning and they're like spooning, and she's like, can I say hi to him? And she starts like petting him, but like like as if like there's like a tiny little saber-toothed tiger in his chest or something. You know what I mean? I was like, this is so none of this matters. But I loved it. But I was like, this is so weird.
Because even the part where she meets the saber-tooth version of him for the first time, and it feels like Cash is not there. Like, he's gone, and it's just her and this saber-tooth tiger, and it's like that was the moment where it also felt like, okay, I think she's in love with 2 people, and they're like kind of the same person. It's the same mate, technically, I guess, but the 2 versions are so different. And she like really has a moment with, it's not sexual, like overtly sexual, but she has a moment with the like physicality of the saber tooth, which is like, I think anyone who watched Aladdin when they were young is like everyone's fantasy to be able to like wrap their arms around a giant tiger and like just nuzzle into their fur. It was very satisfying in that way, but it felt like it wasn't Cash she was cuddling, and I found that really fascinating and interesting and just different than what I've seen before.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it kind of really plays into this desire of like, there's something really powerful about being a weak human being and having a monster by your side who can like tear up anyone who gets in your way. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's like that fantasy about that, which is like,
totally, it's
not bestiality, but there's something empowering about it, even though, and then when he's a human, she can have sex with him, but you know, this is fine. But
not to like I mean, not that it's a problem, but like, I feel like as a Jewish woman whose grandfather was a Holocaust survivor, I like relate to that in that specific way of like having someone who could protect me from the Nazis.
Yes.
You know? Like,
my God.
I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but
well, I'm scared of Nazis all the time, and like they have recurring nightmares, like all of it.
Same.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think I had one recently too, where
really?
Like, where it's just like there's not like, it's almost like zombies, you know, like there's zombie Nazis.
You're running from the Nazis.
Yes.
Or at least that's what happens in my dreams.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. Because like but yeah, because I guess maybe the dream. I mean, whenever I have those dreams, I'm like, okay, there's something that's like out of my control. I feel powerless. So it's like, yeah, you want kind of some sort of like symbol or mechanism to kind of like be like, you cross me and my saber-toothed tiger is gonna gnaw your head off or something.
Definitely.
We have to talk about the sex of it all and kind of the idea of nodding and all of that, because it is, for this book, a headline for me was the first time they have sex. So you've read Ice Planet Barbarians. What did you think about this idea of, and this is huge in the Omegaverse world, of nodding, which, to anyone who doesn't know, it's like,
I was gonna ask if you could define it for me too.
Absolutely. Even. So in like Omegaverse world, that you have like your alphas, your betas, your omegas, whatever. While this doesn't allude like specifically to alphas, omegas, and whatever, a lot of alphas have in their dicks like something called knots, where when they are inserted inside of you, it kind of expands like a balloon and it won't detract until the seed is spilled inside of the person's mate. Now, the mate, whoever you are, they have something, you develop something called a knot lock, which can like take in the ballooning penis, if you will. So you have this like, so it's like you have this compatibility. So in this world, like, they have to like lie together and cuddle until it deflates, and then he can like successfully get out of her or him. And basically, I think this all boils down to a kind of kink or fantasy of breeding. Like, there is something very sexy of someone being like, the only way I can have sex with you is like I'm spilling my seed into you, like you're mine, I'm conquering you. But it is nuts. I mean, when I read it for the first time in like an Allie Hazelwood book, I was like, what the fuck is this? And then just went down this rabbit hole. Like, and I was like,
I feel like that's like, I'm on the precipice of that because I just read this last night.
Yeah.
So I'm super new on this journey and I'm like, I need to know more about this.
It is, you will get lost. Like, I mean, like there is, and there's so many different elements to it. Like, I think it started out as like it started out in like as in the fan fiction world where like it was like the supernatural characters and like in this world they could hook up with each other or whatever. And then it's also they're monsters, and then they're like, well, what if we didn't have monsters, we just made humans this way, let's bring back monsters. But it's just like all of these like rules of just like the knot and like referring to like a woman's like arousal as slick, like it just all of it is like, and just like kind of like the mating with like the snapping and you know that you're supposed to be together, like those rules are all there. But it can be like literally whatever you want. Like you could write like the movie Titanic in the Omegaverse world, and wouldn't that be wonderful?
Wouldn't it?
Yes.
Wow. Is there nodding in Ice Planet Barbarians? Because I know they're mated, and there's that like there is a ritual where that like there's a really intense ritual actually, if I remember correctly, where when their mating is sealed, it like I forget exactly. It's been a couple of
resonance.
years.
There's resonance. You resonate. Yeah.
Yes, but so do they use the term nodding in that book, or is it just implied? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's not in that. Yeah, but I feel like there's like a lot of similarities, particularly with like the planet or your environment or wherever you are, being the one to determine like that's your mate. You know, like it's like whether it's magic or space science that makes no sense. You know, like it's like whatever it is. You know, there's like something kind of like above and beyond your control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I find really interesting about it is for both Ice Planet Barbarians and this book specifically, of course, there's an anxiety in the human character around like, is it gonna hurt? Is it, you know, like there's like obviously because it's this unknown thing that they're often learning about or they seem to learn about for the first time in that moment, and it's scary. And then when it actually happens, there's that anxiety, and then it's almost like immediately undercut with like extreme pleasure.
Yes.
And
yeah.
I find that really interesting because actually kind of going back to one of your first questions about how do I create that tension and conflict in and stakes in like a contemporary book, I found myself wondering that in this book. And especially with the fated mates concept, when it's established pretty early that like you're mine, I'm yours, like great, we're gonna like maybe we'll like hold off a little bit, I'll like get you adjusted to this whole concept, but it's like a done deal pretty early on. So like why am I still interested and like invested in this story? I haven't cracked that code yet. I'm really curious about it though.
Yeah, like for me it's almost like, well, like it's like almost like you know their destiny is gonna be together, you know. And it's just like kind of like, well, how are they gonna get past their own shit to like, you know, kind of get to that destiny? Like, I mean, in this, obviously we're only reading this for the sex. I mean, this is great, I love this book so much, but like you know, Mari is there because she's like there because she's like, I am not like my family. Like, I am gonna be here. I'm just gonna get some monster dick and then live my life. And so, but like, she's like the last person to mate with someone, but of course she does. And it's like, I mean, she does come around pretty easily. To be fair, this book is what, like 40 pages long or something?
Right. It's like 50 pages long, which I think is part of how it like gets away with that without, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, but I feel
dragging.
like if this were like long, if this were like elongated, if you will, like I feel like there would be these stakes of like, well, what am I going to do about my freelance news career? I have a, you know, like.
But they do. Okay, so like kind of going back to the sex, what I also liked and appreciated so much about this story was that it felt like like when you're watching reality TV, like if you're watching Love is Blind or something like that, and you fast forward through all the like just like talky bits and like get to the action, that like this writer did that in this story. They like kind of touched on, you know, like this, that, or the other thing, but just like summed it up quickly and then like got back to the sexy times.
Yes.
And I really appreciated that. And I think for like exploring this type of romance for the first time, reading a short story like this was really nice because I could see it feeling like I felt like I was like dipping my toe in again and being like, is this for me? Like I was very hesitant at first and kind of like, because there's also always that like it can get like close to a little violent.
Oh, sure.
And then it's like, but like, do I have your consent? Like it always, especially this story, like always followed through with that and made consent extremely sexy, which was great. But it kind of like teeters on the edge there, or like straddles that line, and it like makes me a little uncomfortable. So I feel like just like being interested in like exploring this genre, starting with a short story like or a novella was like great.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I actually thought this writer did a very good job of like I think, I don't know, I feel like it's probably, I mean, I don't write these things, but like I feel like maybe it's easy to forget that like, okay, we're inside the character's brain and everyone is consenting to this. And so like kind of like the consent maybe is implicit, you know, but maybe for like an outside reader, like you're just like, what the fuck is going on? But and so to have that, like he checks in with her a lot, and I was like, that's nice to know, especially because he is a character who is like had to hold off one moment from going up to her because he was worried his like blind was gonna go out, his tiger was gonna go out of control, and that to me is scary. Like that it was like, oh, that you can do that, like that could have happened, like that's very stressful. And so having her be like, I like this, I consent, like just even if it felt like, I don't know, maybe it wasn't really that like shoehorned in, but it just made me feel better, you know?
Yeah, definitely. There were even a couple of times I felt like where the writer sort of had the characters check in with the reader, at least with some of the Mari POV, where she would think like, oh, I want this. I'm
Yes.
like down, you know. It's like, okay, great, good. Thanks for letting me know.
yeah. Because that's what we need to like. We need there's like a level of trust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like we want to be able to trust that the that's we're good hands. I guess.
But
good pause.
Maybe that's a good pause. Good clause. Maybe that's where that tension comes in. I can't help but think about the craft stuff because I love it so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like there's always the threat of danger there, and we know that through Cash and his monster that he's like constantly battling with, even when we see him just being like so sweet and attentive and caring towards her.
Yeah.
Like,
and
at the end of the day, they're monsters and unpredictable, so I think that's what maybe kept me on the edge of my seat the whole time.
Sure. And I think there's like a level of energy of like, it's terrifying, but sometimes even that terror in itself is also titillating in a way of like, oh, like sometimes the sensations of fear and horniness are like feel the same, I think.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely. I think it can feel, sex and like being vulnerable in that way can feel really scary.
That's definitely at the vulnerability of it all. Yeah. Which I loved. I loved this book.
And I did have another question because about like what his sexual experiences were in the past or before Mari, because there's that line the our guy, the bartender,
Mr. Hellhound,
when he when Mari first sort of asks him like, who's that guy over there, he's like, oh, don't even bother, he's had like tons of prospects before but he always turns them down. So it made me wonder, like, is he a virgin? Is he doesn't act like it though. He acts like he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, his tiger does. Like, I feel like, but does Cash know? Because maybe it's like the tiger senses kick in, and the tiger's like it's like instinct, this. Oh, I got this. Like when you know to like hold your breath when you go underwater or something. There's not that at all, but like.
Like when babies know to just like turn on their backs when they're on, allegedly. I don't know if they have to be. I think there is some teaching there, but there's stuff like that.
But
there's
it's just
like that.
Yeah, like you learn kind of like you're learning your own body in a way of like, oh, I have to put my feet on the floor to walk or something. Yeah. But
he knew his way around her body immediately.
It was like he studied a book on her. Like someone had written a book on everything that she likes and he knew it to a T. Like I was impressed.
But I guess that's the whole fated mates concept too, right? It's like, I get you. Like, don't worry about it. I get you. I know how to make you, I know how to push all the right buttons. Because that first wood scene was so hot.
Yes. So basically, like, he finds her in the club and like she like after like she like was kind of feeling miffed because it looked like he rejected her. He didn't. He was just scared his tiger was going to be out of control. She goes down to the club and she's kind of doing like a make him jealous kind of thing with a vampire. He does get jealous, and then like they go out. He like pulls her out and harshly too, and so then
that was one of those moments where I was like, ooh, this is getting a little aggressive. He like has his hand around her wrist or something. It's not even like he's not even like holding her in a sort of sexy way. It's really like that part was aggressive.
It was aggressive, but she consents eventually.
But she liked it. She liked it. Yeah, she was on board.
What was it about that moment that made it so I mean, the chase was hot. Like it's a sexy chase.
Yeah, he says like run, and she takes off running into the woods.
And what's so bonkers to me is that is in a serial killer movie. Like that's literally do you know what I mean? Like if you think about it, where they're like, like that was in Yellow, like that was a part in like Yellow Jackets, you know, where
I
they're
would
like,
not. If I was at a club and a man yanked me by the wrist and said, "Run through these dark woods," I would be like, "Fuck no,
yeah,
no,
this is
no,
not
thank
sexy.
you." Yeah,
But in this
I'm
book,
too scared. In the book, I'd be so anxious. The senses would kick in. Like,
yes,
I'm about to die. This is all the things my mother was afraid of when I was in high school.
yes, that a saber-toothed tiger shifter would find
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
But yeah, there's like, I'm gonna trip over a branch. I don't like not being able to see. I'm probably not wearing my running shoes that I need to wear for arch support. Like, there's a lot going on here.
Yes. Which I loved,
But,
like,
yeah.
not to jump ahead a little bit, but when that happens again at the end, she's like, in this dress? Fuck no. Like,
yeah.
I'm not but she does end up giving into that again, but I like that there's a moment where, like, the second time we see that happen, when we, like, cut to, I don't know if I think it's a year later.
Yes. Yeah.
And she's like, I'm gonna ruin this dress if I do that. I loved that moment. So I
did too.
Relatable.
And she was like, because, like, I like the brattiness of it all. You know what I mean? Like, she was kind of just, like, egging him on and stuff. And, like, which she does a little bit, too, like, with the vampire in that first moment as well. Of just, like, kind of, like, pushing, like, she's like, I want to see that tiger come out. Like, let him just, like, bait this tiger.
Yeah. And she does. Oh, she baits him.
She baits him. Speaking of baits, another thing I liked was when the next day he was calling his brother because he didn't know what to do because he was like mated with someone, whatever. But she goes to take a shower and she starts masturbating. And then he comes in and she's like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. And he's like, no, baby. And then like they have such a nice moment. He's like, don't be embarrassed about like your feelings, you know? And it was like, yes.
Yeah, he found that so hot too. And I love he says something like, ooh, I've got a naughty girl or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. The like give and take between sort of that like fantastical monster thing and the like real human reactions, like her, like, and especially because she is perfect in every way, like her body's perfect. She just that alone even she smells good all the time, you know, her hair's always perfect, all that stuff. Like she feels embarrassed in that moment I think it's necessary, and it's nice to see when there's this world where like, you know, everyone's hot, everyone's like into each other, sex is perfect, that those beats where it was like, yeah, just that like real human, they were kind of surprising, but I think necessary so that it doesn't feel like, that's what makes it feel believable, I guess. You ask me like, is it believable? And it's those moments that I think help. Yeah. It like takes you into that world even more.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my God. That's such a beautiful way of putting it. Cause like, I feel like so many people are like, well, why do you like this stuff? It's so unreal. And I'm like, sometimes it's not though. Like sometimes like it's more real than like, you know, I don't know, an action movie with the love interest, you know, like like, you know what I mean? And so it's like those things. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to find a way to match You Belong Here with No Knots About It. No Not About It. Oh my gosh.
So, I can't wait to hear how you did this.
It was like a genius thing I came up with this morning. We'll see if it works. Did you ever play MASH when you were in high school? Okay. Yeah. So I put together a little MASH thing that you're going to do.
Oh my gosh.
But it's Monster MASH, the resort version.
Oh my gosh.
So
I'm so excited.
Perfect. I'm putting together your perfect Monster MASH resort experience. I just need you to answer a few questions about certain monsters. You can use it like based on like what would be cool, or based on like True Bloods, anything like that. And then we're going to talk what you like to do at resorts. So first,
and this is as myself,
as yourself. Yes.
Okay.
So, based on your experience, like with like anything paranormal, what monster would you want or would you expect to have like a really good memory? Like
They have a good memory?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Ooh, what monster has a good memory? I feel like vampires have pretty good memories because they live a long ass time. So and
Agreed.
they seem to remember everything that's happened to them in their like hundreds of years as a vampire.
Absolutely.
It's impressive.
Yeah. I feel like I know that I might know the answer to the next one, but I could be wrong. What is a monster you think is a really good listener?
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/Spotify. That's greenlight.com/Spotify.
I can't say I've ever thought about this in my life until this very moment. What monster would be a good listener? I think a mummy.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because they're not
to.
talking. Yeah. They're not talking. They're just sitting there nodding.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask you a monster who you think has so much energy that they don't need coffee. Like, you know those people who are like naturally perky and they don't need caffeine? Who do you think is like the monster version of that?
Oh my gosh. A naturally perky monster. I don't know if perky is the right word for it, but maybe a werewolf.
Okay.
And I think of it because like at night, you know, they're just popping off. You know, they're shifting into their werewolf thing.
Yeah.
Werewolf.
Yeah.
They're
they like
werewolf
zip
and yeah, they're just like they're getting ready to go out and their day is not their
what
day, but yeah.
monster do you think has a soothing voice? And it could be like if you had a dream monster to have a soothing voice too.
A dream monster to have a soothing voice. Ooh. I mean, I like just based on how they are, like a siren.
Ooh, yes. Okay, we're putting together a very good package for you. Okay. First, I'm going to ask you for kind of what's going to happen at this Monster Mash resort. List some beverages that to you just like feel like luxurious, like, you know, when you're just like having a time of your life.
Yeah, like a mojito, a strawberry daiquiri, margarita, spicy margarita.
Okay.
Some sangria.
Ooh, okay. That was good. All right. I'm going to ask you, when you go on vacation, what's your favorite way to like get around? Like in terms of like a bike or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like you list multiple ones.
Yeah. Walking for sure. Public transportation like subway. You're smirking about that.
I'm like, this is very, it's like, I'll tell you.
I'm like falling right into your trap. Do you need more?
Two more.
Okay. Bicycles sounds fun. Let's see. Maybe by like boat.
Ooh.
Like a gondola situation or like a ferry. Or did that...
Well, I love like yes.
You know?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you need more? Okay.
You're good. Okay. I'm going to need 4 different like spa services that you can get, like massage, facial, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's say like a Swedish massage.
Ooh.
What's the like seaweed wrap?
Oh yeah.
Mani-pedi. Let's do facial.
Nice. Okay. And then finally, any special events that you like see happening at a resort, whether it's like, I don't know, like karaoke night or like jazz night or something.
Yeah. like a comedy show.
Mm-hmm.
Bingo, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes
Oh my God,
it's
Monster
fun.
Bingo. Are you kidding me?
Monster
Like,
Bingo.
I would watch that all day. Oh my God.
Like a Broadway musical.
Ooh, like a review.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, and one more.
I'm gonna do like a s'mores night.
I love this. Like a
Thanks.
nice, like kind of chill. Like we're gonna
Yeah.
do camping night at the Monster Mash Hotel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone gets some marshmallows and chocolate, and everyone just like sits around the fire pits.
Cute. This is cute. Oh my God. I wish you had every one of these choices, but unfortunately, we are now doing the mash circle. So I am going to start spiraling. Tell me when to stop.
Okay. Stop.
Okay. All right. I didn't realize how long this would take. Everyone talk, listeners talk amongst yourselves. No, we'll get this. Okay.
I'll talk about like the Monster Resort itself was so fascinating. I love that it takes place in, what is it, North Dakota? Or
yes, and it's like there's like a magic hex or something.
Yeah, that makes it like perfect weather, white sand beaches. That was the witches were responsible for that, according to Mari. And I just wondered, like, they couldn't find an island somewhere. Like, why North Dakota? It felt so random, but I guess it's like accessible but remote. It was a really interesting choice.
I loved it because it's like, okay, what's a state we could use? Like,
right.
North Dakota has space.
Yeah, nothing's going on there. We can just like plop Monster Resort with like, you know, all amenities included type situation and like a totally separate ecosystem and environment from the rest of the state.
Yeah.
It was fun. I would go to the Monster Resort. It sounded great.
It's like there's like these places like in these worlds with like this like where it's like friendly monster town. Like they sound so nice. Like I was like reading I read this book called Mail Order Minotaur, right? And it was exactly what you thought it is. Really, really great. But like they lived in like this like cute town that was like the way that author described it was like Charleston. You know what I mean? Like and it was like this sounds so fun and everyone knows each other and there's like small businesses that are thriving. There's like a beautiful vampire dressmaker and like, you know, like a centaur making who owns a bakery shop, you know, and it's like, and it's the best thing you'll ever have. It's like farmed fresh, you know, like. Yeah.
Well, that was the other thing I found fascinating is like, it's not spooky, scary monster location. It's like very, just like idyllic, you know, beautiful place.
Yes. Okay. Are you ready for
I'm so ready.
So, welcome to Monster Mash Resort. The place that you will be staying is Minotaur Manor. This is a luxury cabana suited for minotaurs only. So if you're human, everything is out of reach. You need to rent additional stilts or hooves for a daily rate, but all proceeds go towards the Minotaur Heritage Museum. So you're helping our culture.
That's nice.
You are going to be getting a Swedish massage from a siren.
Oh, interesting.
That'll be fun. You are going to go on a tour of the town with public transportation with a vampire as your tour guide telling you about the history of the Monster Mash Resort. You will be drinking strawberry daiquiris poolside made by one of our best bartenders, mixologists, a mummy.
That works. That's correct.
And then finally, enjoy our very special s'more nights hosted by our very own werewolf facilities manager.
Yes, that sounds so fun. That
is your Monster Mash Resort experience.
I'm a little nervous about the siren masseuse. I just feel like that can't be trusted. It might be difficult to relax, but you know, I know the Monster Resort is a safe space, so
it's a safe space. She'll like, you know, singing like maybe like maybe like, you know how like sometimes there's like the spa music, maybe you don't need it this time, she'll be like humming.
Ooh.
You know.
Oh, okay, that makes sense actually. That works. Yeah.
So, Elliot or whoever wrote this book, if you're listening, we've got ideas for your monsters.
We've got so many ideas, and we want to read more of this world. So,
please.
Wow, that is so fun. Monster Mash is perfect. Thank you so much for that experience.
It was my pleasure. I am so glad I got to play MASH once more in my life. I never thought it was something I'd ever do. So
Same.
It
took me right back to summer camp. I felt like we were sitting on the floor of our cabin. It was great.
Yes. Just like, it would be like, if, I don't know, at lunch or something and someone's taking on a notebook and just like doing it. Yeah. And it's just like, oh, yeah. It really took me back. I even hand wrote it in a notebook because
that's so beautiful.
Just a beautiful experience.
That's really great. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Of course. And thank you for being a guest on this show. This was so much fun.
Thank you. I had a blast. I was really looking forward to it. I've been listening. It's such a fun show, and I'm thrilled to be on. I knew I'd have fun.
Yay. Thank you so much. You were a great guest. And just remind us where we can find you, socials, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I'm on Instagram and TikTok at Sara Phoebe, SaraPhoebee. So find me there and check out You Belong Here, YA graphic novel, everywhere books are sold.
Please, I highly recommend it. I will link to it in the show notes and everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For links to today's books, you can check out the show notes or the episode page at tstlpodcast.com or on TSTL Substack. TSTL is part of the Culture Media Network. If you like the show, why not leave a review? And if you didn't like the show, why are you still listening? Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have an angsty and furry rest of your day.